27-year-old Mark Edward Fishbach had been hoping for a peaceful cruise. He had planned everything out. His friend Tyler would watch his dog and house for him, and handle all of his stuff until he got back. The cruise had started out fine, but the last thing Mark could remember was talking to some Swedish guy before he blacked out, and when he woke up, he was staring into the blue, cloudless sky. Mark sat up and looked around. He didn't see anything but ocean in front of him, until he looked down. He had lost his shoes, it seemed, and his socks were soggy and had sand all over them. He took them off and put them in the bag he had been carrying, hoping that anything in that hadn't been messed up as well. He opened it and sighed in relief. There was everything. His waterproof camera, his glasses, his extra clothes, some first aid medical wrap, and his pocket knife, which wasn't in his pocket. He pulled that out and put the bag down around his shoulder and stood up. What the heck happened to cause me to black out? He wondered aloud, trying to find something to eat. He walked over to some nearby trees, trying to find one with food, and finally he seen a coconut tree. Before he could get anything down, however, a coconut fell out of the tree and hit his head. Mark walked closer to it and looked up to see something in the tree. Mark thought it was a wild animal, but to his surprise it wasn't. The next thing he knew, the creature stuck its head under the leaves, revealing bright green hair and blue eyes, as well as a few scratches. Mark was shocked as to how somebody else had ended on the same island he had. The male looked down at Mark and waved, throwing a coconut at him. Ow, why do you keep doing that? Mark asked, and the man laughed. You're supposed to catch them, silly. I mean, you look hungry, but if you're not, I understand. I'll just take all those coconuts and eat them myself, he said, and Mark looked at him with a sarcastic look. Ha ha, okay, thanks, but I could have gotten them down myself, he realized. Mark said, and the man laughed again. Yeah, but I was here first, so it only makes sense I get them down, he replied, and Mark rolled his eyes. The man slid down the tree and shook Mark's hand vigorously. He didn't tell Mark his name, but he seemed friendly at least. Mark, you better be glad he found food, or else you would have to resort to cannibalism, Mark thought, laughing at his own sick joke before letting go of the man's hand. So, how'd you end up here? He asked Mark, who tried to remember how he ended up on the island. I was on a cruise, and all of a sudden I blacked out. Next thing I know, I'm on the island, Mark replied, and the man nodded. Oh, I don't even remember why I'm here. I just am, the man told Mark, who cocked his head in confusion. How could he not remember why he's here? Mark said to himself on the inside, shrugging it off. He sat down and tried to open the coconut with his knife, to no avail. Here, let me show you how it's done, the man said, sitting back behind Mark, taking the knife. He slung his arm up, knife in hand, and jabbed into the coconut, opening it in half. Ta-da! He yelled, and Mark looked at him in shock. Then he looked back at the coconut. Maybe the man could be helpful to Mark. Mark didn't trust him just yet. Mark then grabbed the journal out of his bag and started writing in it. The man read the journal and looked at Mark. I'm not weird, he yelled, and Mark rolled his eyes, chuckling a bit at this. Well, it's not necessarily bad to be weird, Mark said, and the man looked at him. Mark began walking back to the beach and noticed it was sunset. Wow, this is probably one of the prettiest sunsets I've ever seen, Mark said, and his new friend nodded. Yeah, then again, I've only been to the beach for a few times, he told Mark, who smiled, taking his glasses off and cleaning them in the blue shirt. Luckily, he brought extra clothes. He would change tomorrow. He ended up falling asleep in the sand, his new friend passing out with him. What was in store for them? Mark's thoughts trailed off into scenarios out of survival video games as the sun set completely.